Hi, this is Anna Imagination with a Healing Garden, and welcome to Shifting Perspectives. So, this is something, this is something. Last night, I slipped into one of my visions, and a lot came to me, and I was just, I don't even know where to begin with this one. I really don't. I do. And at the same time, it was, I started documenting it down and writing it down by hand. And then I pulled up my computer and I wrote an article on my website. And I was trying to capture it. Usually I go live and then I explain what I see when I'm live, and not last time. Yeah. And I really need to talk about it now. And I'm just like, hate is a mental illness. When I got into the seventh perspective, I could see this web. And the first web that I saw was how the perspectives all fit together. Literally, it was just a web of perspectives, like a network. And then when I got to the eighth perspective, I could see how energy, I could see a network of energy literally connecting between each and every human on this planet is a fixed point to the energy field. All 8 billion of us are fixed points, little grounding rods that go right into, we're the satellites. We are the satellites. And I could see each human being setting off their own satellite, messaging it and communicating with the next one. And we all have a fixed position in the world. More specifically, we all have certain people we're supposed to be closer to. This is when we're aligned and we find our twin flame. And it's just because your harmony, your vibration is resonating so securely with each other that the closer you get, the more perfect harmony, perfect interval you're at. And it was extraordinary to see. But you have to be completely authentic, stripped of all external invasive perspectives. You have to be completely free of all limitations, of all expectations. No Venusian masks here. Just you and the energy, and it's all you. And you find who you are resonating the most with. And we're satellites that just send off the signal as it feeds into the energy field. And then the second network was the energy itself. And I could see how the energy flowed between each and every one of us as a fixed point. It was extraordinary. Like we were all grounding rods, feeding, fueling, channeling the energy. And then the third network came in. And the third network was money. And I could see, no, I'm sorry. The next one was karma. So it was the perspective, and then it was energy, and then it was karma. And I could see how karma itself moved with a negative storage and a positive storage. And literally it was all linked to good energy going out, bad energy coming in from giving and taking. And then I saw the money all networked in. And it was extraordinary. And then last night I saw the sexual network, which is why I'm on this massive, let's talk about sex, is because I saw this sexual network. So it's just these networks, this web of networks stacked on top of all of us. And I can see all of it shifting and moving. And it's extraordinary to see choreographed. And then I saw hate. I saw this network of hate. And I've been trying to figure out hate for a while. And hate is it's a symptom from a mental disorder. And I described what I saw. I saw all of us desiring and loving our identity and who we are. But it's taken away from us. And we've been put through this system that simulates us, this grand societal assimilation. And when it's done with us, high school graduation, we are all identical. We're celebrated. We're given hats and diplomas. Congratulations, you have been assimilated. And every bit of uniqueness inside of us has been taken away. So we're all the same. And that's when I realized all psychology, all of the work that I've done, all of the conflict we have, all of the misunderstanding that exists is a dispute between what is same and what is different about each of us. It all comes down to what are our differences and how are we the same? And then I noticed that some of us are really good at being identical. And some of us are really bad at being identical. And I noticed that there are some people who are in so much pain from being forced to be identical that when they see a difference in someone else, it reminds them of the pain of them losing their unique identity. And then they hyper focus on the difference because they're wanting, they're craving their own identity. But you can't have your own identity. Everyone's got to look the same. So you focus on a person's gender, you focus on their age, you focus on their culture, you focus on their language they speak, you focus on their race, and you suddenly see their difference. And their difference reminds you that you are not unique. Their difference reminds you that you're not allowed to be different. And suddenly they have resentment at people who are different, because the people who are different it isn't fair, is it? When you're forced to live without your unique identity, but everyone else is allowed theirs. That's how it feels. So you become racist. You become misogynist. You become prejudiced. You can't stand anything that is different from you because it reminds you that you are all the same. And when we're teenagers and we're forced to destroy our unique identities, teenagers give one last final stand to war, all in the name of their unique identity. And if you make it, you're free. You're thrown out, you're a black sheep, you're ostracized, but you make it. If you don't make it, you're conformed, you're crammed into the box, and you don't remember who you are after a while because your identity was taken away. And some people can't tell you what they love. Some people can't tell you what they like. You go about your life obediently doing everything you were told to do, just like we were set out to be our whole lives. And then finally we get to this one point in our 30s where we just realize, I can't take it anymore. I promise you I'm different if you just let me show you how. And you have a midlife crisis because your identity can't stand being unseen anymore. So you seek out therapy, you seek out help, and you're struggling because you're just wanting somebody to acknowledge you and see you as you really are. And they don't, and you can't. And it's killing you slowly inside. And I hear so many stories about people's midlife crisis taking over their life. And it's the conformists all translating, wow, they lost their minds. They snapped. No, they didn't. They couldn't stand cramming their identity into themselves any longer. And there are so many of us that hold so much to our differences that we just don't let them go because they remind us very much of the identity that we lost or the identity that we were told we were not allowed to have. So that was one of the things I realized and saw last night. Not so much hate, but racism, prejudice. That's what I noticed last night was the mental illness. It's people who become so sensitive to differences because it reminds them of what was taken away from them. But these are words they were never able to articulate because you can't articulate what you don't remember. But we all feel it. The person I was with last night, I've known him since 2020. And I met him at a time when I was in the middle of my remembering. In fact, that's what all of this was. The last 3 years I have been in my remembering. The remembering is a stage of healing when you remember who you are and it wakes up. It was 5 years of solid therapy for me. The first 2 years of my therapy was without Triadic Healing. And then the 3 years after that was with Triadic Healing while I was putting Triadic Healing together. And then I went on walkabout. And it was when I was on walkabout that I remembered. And then it was shortly after my walkabout that's when the remembering really took off. And it was between 2021 is when the remembering really started to take place, but it was 2021 to 2023. So it was about 2 years of just solid remembering. And recently, these last couple weeks, the last bit of it, I say last now, but I don't know what's ahead. I'll let you know in a few months if there's more to remember. But I remembered a huge chunk of it about a week ago, and then I forgot, which is normal for the remembering, to remember and then to forget, which is why I record all of this stuff, is because I'll remember something and then I'll forget it. And when it's your name that you're remembering, you really want to remember it. And I remember I was and am a psychic, a really powerful one, an oracle. And I started to show signs of this when I was 2 years old. By the time I was 4, I was knowing things that I should not have known. I was seeing things and talking about things I should not have seen. In a society of conformists, this scares the fuck out of them. So they beat me. They beat me so severely that I forgot what I was. And it did not stop what I was, but it definitely suppressed it. And then they hid me for 40 years because they gave me brain damage, mental brain damage from the amount of abuse they put me through because they didn't want me to remember or be what I was. And I noticed this last weekend. I was with my stepfather and I was on the subway and I had a vision and I went completely into my vision mode. And it scared my stepfather, who'd never seen this side of me. He told to my mom about it, and my mom texted me, Anna, were you being yourself again? And the way she talked to me was the way she talked to me since I was 2 years old. I suddenly had my mommy back. And I know too much about psych now. And I said to her, you knew. And she said, yeah, we all always knew that you're kind of extra special. And that was the secret that the family had. The second husband I married was somebody who was a friend of the family's, who I'd known since I was 12. It was almost as if I was entrusted into his care because of my condition. My family was very, very pleased when he took over everything because they felt that I would be taken care of. And talking to my mother on Monday of this week actually, when she explained that, yeah, we kind of figured out what you were when you were 14. And my father had worked hard to suppress it, deny it the first 12 years of my life. By the time I was 14, there was no suppressing it. And because they had beaten me so severely and I had the brain damage I had, they then had to hide me. So that's why I was a slave, is because I was literally living evidence of their dirty little secret of what they did to me. And I finally remembered. It all came out. I remembered the earliest of my memories. And I went, oh, I'm an oracle. And when I started seeing visions when I was 2, 3, 4, knowing shit that I should not have seen, and I started piecing all of it together. I remember my grandparents. I remember my aunts and uncles hearing my visions and watching them panic. I suddenly have a lot of memories that I've always remembered, but I never connected that I scared them because of what I was remembering. So, and even through the last year, since May of 2021, I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea any of it. And suddenly, this last week, when I talked to my mom about it, literally it was on Sunday of last week that I remembered, and I wrote it down and then I forgot. And then I remembered again last night. It all came back again. And I wrote it down this time because I'm like, do not forget this. And when you can see how things are going to fall, you know what to do or how to direct it so that you can take care of it, save it, stop it, direct it in a way that is going to cause the least bit of damage. Which is why I invented Triadic Healing, which is why I put the Triadic Healing out there, and which is why it's free. So, in addition, last night, before I left to go see my friend, I was talking to somebody. And the person I was talking to, a potential client, he was asking me about Triadic Healing and how it worked, and I was going over everything with him on Triadic Healing. And it was this massive understanding of what I had suddenly built. And I put it all together, and it was so simple and so clear. And I went, well, I just need to completely break down my syllabus for part 1 and just rebuild it precisely to what I had. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, is basically rebuilding the syllabus. But it is this massive understanding of just suddenly seeing everything very clearly. And it's that knowing that you're finally right where you need to be. And I was able to finally say to people who knew me over the last 2 to 3 years, when you go through mental healing, there is the remembering and the understanding. And when people met me over the last 3 years, I was in the middle of the remembering. That's all. I was just remembering. And when I remembered, yeah, it was an absolute mental mess. And now here I am with the understanding, piecing that together, and it clicks. Everything just clicks beautifully. If you love shit like this, go ahead and like, subscribe, follow, share, and comment below. Let me know what part of the video resonated with you. And go ahead, donate, help the garden grow, and become a member. Take a look at the link tree below, become a member, and join the Healing Gardens Integration Workshop. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.